In the heart of California, where the sun-baked hills of the Sacramento Valley give way to the snow-capped peaks of the Sierra Nevada, lies a stretch of road known as the Feather River Highway. It's a path of breathtaking beauty by day, but on a cold, wet night in February 1978, it became the setting for one of the most perplexing and unsettling disappearances in American history. 5 young men, friends, drove up that highway for a basketball game. They were never seen alive again. What happened to them wasn't just a tragedy. It was a cascade of bizarre decisions, impossible odds, and a crime scene that defied all logic. This isn't just a story of getting lost. This is a story of a descent, a story that asks a terrifying question. What could compel 5 rational human beings to willingly walk away from safety and into the heart of a frozen wilderness? This is the mystery of the Yuba County Five. To understand the depth of this mystery, you first need to know who they were. They weren't strangers. They were a tight-knit group from Yuba City, bonded by friendship and their shared experiences. There was Ted Weir, 32, gentle and kind, the eldest of the group. Jack Madruga, 30, the most athletic and the driver that night. Bill Sterling, 29, a dependable and conscientious friend. Jack Hewitt, 24, the most shy and dependent of the 5, and Gary Mathias, 25, an Army veteran who, despite managing a schizophrenia diagnosis, was considered the group's de facto leader. He was sharp, and he didn't drink or do drugs, a crucial detail for later. On evening of February 24, 1978, they piled into Jack Madruga's 1969 Mercury Montego, their destination, a University of California Chico basketball game. It was a routine trip. They were expected home that same night. The game ended around 9:30 p.m. They were seen leaving the arena, getting into the Mercury, and driving off. It was cold and raining in the valley, but unbeknownst to them, a fierce snowstorm was blanketing the Sierras to the east. This is where the first, and perhaps most critical, wrong turn was made. Instead of turning left to go home, they turned right. They drove up. They drove 70 miles out of their way, climbing 4,000 feet in elevation into a treacherous, snowbound wilderness. Why? By the time they reached Oroville, the turnoff to their home was directly behind them. They drove past it. Weeks later, on April 4th, a group of forest workers stumbled upon the Mercury. It was parked, somewhat neatly, on a remote logging trail called Challenge Cutoff Road. It wasn't crashed, it was simply out of gas. The keys were gone. Inside, the scene was both mundane and deeply strange. The interior was tidy. The men's wallets, IDs, and money were left behind. A bag of groceries from the game was there, with some of the food eaten. Most notably, the car was found with a nearly full tank of gas. The fuel line was simply disconnected. Someone had manually disabled the vehicle. But the weirdness doesn't stop at the car. From the car, investigators found a set of footprints leading away. Not scattered, not panicked, a single set of tracks, as if they were walking in a line, one behind the other. They followed these tracks for an incredible, almost superhuman distance, 19 miles. The tracks led them to a Forest Service cabin. This cabin was a known refuge, stocked with food, sleeping bags, and most importantly, a wood-burning stove. This should have been their salvation. Inside, They found the body of Ted Weir. He was emaciated, wrapped in multiple sleeping bags. He had grown a full beard, indicating he had survived for weeks. Crucially, he had died not from the cold, but from starvation and pneumonia. But here's the part that fractures all understanding. There was an ample supply of food in the cabin. None of it had been touched. There was a working wood-burning stove. It was cold. A package of frozen hot dogs was found, partially eaten, but they had been eaten frozen. Ted Weir was missing one of his shoes. The bodies of the other 4 men were not in the cabin. They were found months, and in one case, years later, scattered in the surrounding forest. All had succumbed to exposure. The official cause of death was hypothermia, but that doesn't explain the why. Let's break down the prevailing theories. Theory 1. Mass panic or shared psychosis. Could the group have experienced a collective mental break? Perhaps Gary Mathias, off his medication, experienced a psychotic episode and led the others who trusted him into the wilderness. But this doesn't explain the prolonged survival in the cabin or the specific illogical actions. Theory 2. Foul play. Was there a predator? Someone who forced them off the road, disabled their car, and herded them into the woods. The missing car keys and the single-file footprints are often cited as evidence. But if so, why let them find the cabin? Why not harm them directly? Theory 3. The leader's break and a tragic chain of command. This is the most chilling, and for many, the most plausible theory. Gary Mathias, the leader, becomes paranoid. He convinces the group they are being followed. He disables the car so they can't use it. He leads them on a brutal march. They find the cabin, but Gary's paranoia is now absolute. He thinks the food is poisoned, the stove is a trap. The group, conditioned to follow their leader, obeys. They slowly starve, surrounded by plenty. This theory explains the food, the fire, and the car. It's a story not of a monster in the woods, but of a monster in the mind. Even with these theories, the case is riddled with loose ends that continue to haunt investigators. The mysterious lights. A snowmobiler reported seeing a single, flickering light high on the mountain the night they disappeared. Was it a signal? The man at the payphone. A witness reported seeing a man matching Gary Mathias's description at a payphone that night, looking disheveled and distressed. Was he trying to call for help? The final body. Jack Hewitt's body was the last to be found over a year later in an area that had been thoroughly searched. The missing shoe. Why was one of Ted Weir's shoes missing? The Yuba County Five were failed by many systems. The search was called off too early. Their families fought for weeks. By the time the car was found, it was far too late. The snows have long since melted on the Sierra Nevada. The cabin has been dismantled, but the mystery of the Yuba County Five remains, frozen in time. A puzzle of 5 missing pieces scattered across a white canvas, leaving behind a picture we still can't fully comprehend. What do you think happened on that mountain? Was it a tragic, psychological perfect storm? Or was there a more malevolent force at play? The case remains open. The files are still active, and in the quiet of the forest, the questions still echo.